Hi friends, it's Miss Kim from the Evanston Public Library again, and today I thought we would read books about snakes. So I brought two of my favorite snake books to share with you. The first one is called Mouse Count. This is by Ellen Stoll Walsh, and I'm reading it with permission from Harcourt Publishers. One fine day, some mice played in the meadow. They were careful to watch for snakes. But when the mice got sleepy, they forgot about snakes and they all took naps. While they slept, a hungry snake went looking for dinner. On his way, he found a nice big jar. "I will fill this jar with dinner," he said. It wasn't long before he found 3 mice, little, warm, and tasty, fast asleep. "First I will count them, and then I will eat them up," said the snake. "Mouse count. 1, 2, 3. He dropped them into the jar, but he was very hungry. 3 mice were not enough. Soon he found 4 more mice, little, warm, and tasty, fast asleep, and he counted them. 4, see, he's adding them on. 5, 6, I ran out of fingers. 7, but the snake was very, very hungry, and 7 mice were not enough. At last he found 3 more mice, little, warm, and tasty, fast asleep, and he counted them. 8, 9, and what's the last one? 10. 10 mice are enough. Now I am going to eat you up, little, warm, and tasty, said the snake. "Wait," said one of the mice. "The jar isn't full yet, and look at the big mouse over there." The snake was very greedy. He hurried off to get the big mouse. And while he was gone, the mice rocked the jar one way and another way until over it went. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The little mice uncounted themselves and ran home. The snake reached the big mouse, but it was only a cold, hard rock. And when he got back, the jar was empty. The end. Snake got a little too greedy, didn't he, and ended up with nothing. Well, on to our next book. Our next book is called Bertie, and this is by Janelle Cannon, and I'm also reading this one with permission from Harcourt Publishers. On a small tropical island, the sun rose high above the steamy jungle. A mother python was sending her hatchlings out into the forest the way all mother pythons do. "Grow up big and green as the tree's leaves," she called to her little yellow babies as they happily scattered among the trees. But Bertie dawdled. He was proudly eyeing his bright yellow skin. He especially liked the bold stripes that zigzagged down his back. Why the hurry to grow up big and green, he wondered. Maybe some of the older snakes in the jungle could tell him. Bertie ventured into the treetops to look for them. Umbles, Aggie, and Ribbon were lazing on some branches nearby. Bertie peered at their droopy green bodies. "It's not polite to stare," chided Aggie. Umbles burped and groaned. "It's taken nearly 4 weeks for that last lizard to digest. I surely do like lizards, but lizards don't like me." "Why don't lizards like you?" asked Bertie. "Don't interrupt," Umbles grumbled. "Dear me," whined Aggie. "If I don't shed soon, this itchy skin will drive me bananas." Bertie tapped a tune with his tail as he waited to speak. "Stop that, Bertie. It makes me nervous," Ribbon complained. "Besides, you'll never grow up to be properly green, always interrupting and constantly fidgeting." Bertie couldn't imagine being in such a hurry to be like them, and he really wanted to keep his sporty stripes. Hoping to find snakes that weren't so boring, Verdi slipped away. Dozer was snoring in a tree not far from the others. "Hello," said Verdi. "Do you want to climb trees with me?" "I'm tired," Dozer growled. "Go do a few laps around the jungle, okay?" Verdi's heart sank. Greens were not only lazy and boring, they were rude. At the top of a very tall tree, Verdi gripped one branch with his tail and another with his little snake jaws. "I will never be lazy, boring, or green," he thought. "I will jump and climb and keep moving so fast that I will stay yellow and striped forever." Then Verdi let go. Look at him. What do you think's going to happen? Oh, look at him shoot up there, doing a big circle. From a distance, the greens watched. "Oh my," they chorused. Ribbon shook his head. "At this rate, he'll be lucky to make it to his first molt." Aggie nodded. "He's likely to put an eye out on a branch." Umbles moaned. "He may not live to turn green." There he is. You see him up there? But one day, Verdi's skin began to peel, revealing a pale green stripe stretching along his whole body. He gasped. "How can this be? I'm the speediest snake in the jungle and I'm still turning green." He raced down to the river, grabbing up a mouthful of rough leaves. Bertie flung himself into the water. "If I can't run this green off, I'll scrub it off," he thought, giving himself a bath. His frantic splashing caught the eye of a large bottom feeder cruising the murky depths. "Yum," the old fish hummed. "Lunch." Before the fish could haul Verdi under, the frightened snake hit him on the nose. "Ah, poof!" With a blast of his rubbery lips, the great fish sneezed, sending Verdi into the air. Slapping onto the soggy shore, Verdi skidded out of reach. "Phew! That was close," he sputtered. Every inch of his body was covered with wet, gloppy mud. Kinda lumpy. Kinda brown. It sure beats being green." He left the mud on. But the soft brown muck dried into a hard gray shell and Verdi could barely move. If he even budged, the stuff cracked off into jagged chunks. As each piece fell away, Verdi could see that his body was even greener than before. "This is terrible," cried Verdi. He pictured himself hanging around in droopy loops, itching and complaining and worrying all day like the old greens. He looked up into the sky where the sun blazed a beautiful yellow, just the color he used to be. Then he pulled a vine to the top of the tree. Breaking out of his muddy shell there. Launching himself from the treetop, Verdi startled a flock of colorful birds. He became dizzy with delight, sure the bright sun and his lofty speed would turn him golden again. In his joy, Verdi forgot he would fall back to earth. Whippity, whippity, whip, whip, wham! Plummeting through the trees, Verdi landed in a crooked sprawl across a log on the forest floor. He couldn't move. "Help!" he croaked. As usual, the greens had been watching Verdi's antics. They moved quickly to where he lay. "Didn't we say it would come to this?" Umbles said, shaking his head. Aggie sighed. "Lucky thing he's still got 2 good eyes." They gently lifted Verdi up to a safer place where they could watch over him while he healed. Neatly splinted to a branch, Verdi had no choice but to listen to the greens as they gabbed. "Remember how I used to streak across the forest floor?" Ribbon asked. "Quick as lightning," answered Aggie, "and I'd climb giant trees like they were nothing. They grew taller then, you know. The things I dared to run down and swallow," Umbles bragged. "Wild boar were no match for me." Verdi was astonished. "You used to run and climb and hunt giant pigs? What happened?" Ribbon crashed, just like you, Aggie replied. I took a terrible fall and almost put an eye out. Then old Umbles here nearly choked to death. Now we all prefer the quiet life, a warm perch, a little sunshine, and an occasional good meal. The Greens rambled on about their days of glory, and Bertie settled in on his branch. Finally, one afternoon, Umble said, "Looks like you were ready to go again." He carefully untied Bertie from the branch. "You're welcome to come with us," said Aggie. Ribbon agreed. The three Greens slipped quietly back into the forest. Bertie wasn't ready to join them. He wasn't sure where he wanted to go. He just stretched and stayed put until the sun went down. He listened to the forest come alive. What color is he? You see that? Look, here's Bertie. He's starting to turn green. You see that? There's all the night creatures coming out in the forest. Time passed. The sun and moon took turns in the sky. Bertie marveled as the full moon grew thinner every night. Then he watched patiently as it slowly grew round again. He wondered why he hadn't noticed that before. Bertie became so green that he blended perfectly with the leaves. He was so still that other creatures walked right by without seeing him. One fine morning, as Bertie basked in the sunshine, two small yellow snakes approached. They tapped and fidgeted as they stared. "Get a load of that old green guy," one of them whispered. "Do you think he ever moves?" The other snickered. "I seriously doubt it." "They're just like I used to be," thought Bertie. "And now I'm what I was afraid to be." He looked at his big green body and slowly smiled. "How would you like to climb trees with me?" he asked. "With you?" The yellows were astounded. "I'll even show you my fancy figure 8, Bertie replied, though he was a little worried about putting his eye out. With practice, the three snakes performed a perfect triple figure 8. Leaping and looping with his little striped friends, Bertie laughed. "I may be big and very green, but I'm still me." Get him up there. The end. And now, we're going to make a really fun little snake mobile craft. And now for our craft. You're going to need a paper plate, a pencil, some crayons. I picked a few colors out in advance, a pair of scissors, and a little bit of tape. The first thing we're going to do is take our paper plate and our pencil. And in the center, I'm going to draw a snake head. Like that. Now I'm going to take that line and I'm going to just draw ever bigger circles until I get, it gets tricky here, to the outside of the plate. That's going to be my snake. I'm going to cut on those lines later. Dog hair on here. But for right now, I'm going to color him while he's still whole because that's easier. So now, got some crayons here, and I'm going to color my snake. Give him some eyes. And I'm going to come up with an interesting pattern for him, I think. So there, I have colored out my snake. I'm going to make his eyes a little bit darker, I think. And maybe his face should be a little bit darker green. Just add some good color to that there. And now I'm going to take my scissors. This is where you're probably going to need Mom and Dad's help. And I'm going to follow that line I cut all the way back to the beginning.
I know I did a really involved and intricate design. You guys can do whatever you want to do on your snake. Any design you do is going to be fabulous because it's yours. And that's what I love about these projects that I do with you guys, is you can be as creative as you want to. And I love that. And they all come out different, and they all look fabulous. And they almost never look anything like mine, as long as they sort of resemble mine. And I know you guys got the idea. All right, here we go. We got to be careful with his head because we don't want to cut that off, because that is what we are going to hang our mobile from. There we go. So there's our snake. My crayons are running away. So now the one thing I did forget to mention that you need is a piece of ribbon. This is where your tape comes in. You can take a small piece of tape, put it on your ribbon, and then you're going to tape that to the snake's head. I always like to put it on the edge and then wrap the tape corners around the edge of his face. And then your snake mobile hangs like that, and he unfolds. So now you can hang him from the door handle. You can hang him from anything. I don't want to give you ideas your parents don't want you to hang him from. But you can hang him from whatever your parents say you can hang him from. You can make multiple snakes. All you need is another piece of paper, another paper plate. Well, thanks for joining me today, my friends, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.